So, you know where we ended up at the last time. The boys had gone from Hawaii and taken a ship, and the ship took them to Cancun, Mexico. And they hung out for a little while with the Mexican birds, and the Mexican birds told them all about Christmas and who Santa Claus was, and told them how they could get on Santa's sleigh, and that way they could get to Utah, because there wasn't any way they were going to get there without it. Well, anyway, once they were on the sleigh, they met Gerald the elf from the North Pole. They met Santa, and let's get going. Ho, 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 Santa says to them. Are we ready to go, little guys? Yeah, we're ready, we think. We're going to go. I've got some packages to drop off between here and there, but I promise you, you're going to get to Utah before Christmas morning. Off they went. Santa stopped in all kinds of places in California. The little birds had never even seen that kind of magic before. They could not believe how fast he was. They also could not believe that Santa gave kids bicycles, full-size bicycles, took them right down chimneys, full-size skateboards, hoverboards, scooters, toys, Hot Wheels, phones, amazing amounts of toys. There were toys for boys and girls, and they started figuring out that all this stuff was coming out of the bag in the back. Well, they were completely fascinated by the reindeers, and they would fly up and they would sit on the reindeer's antlers and they would pretend like they were reindeers too, especially Hope, because this is the kind of stuff Hope loves the most, because it's like a Christmassy story for him. So Hope would sit up on the reindeer, and he figured out that this Santa guy would say, on Dasher, on Dancer, and that's what he did, but he'd always pretend that Santa was saying, on Hope, and Hope just stayed up there and flapped his wings while he's holding on, pretending he was helping. He didn't know Santa had sprinkled some magic dust on him to help him fly and keep up. Smalls, of course, got the big idea he was going to try to record Santa on his phone. Well, if anybody who knows anything about Santa knows that he's really using so much magic and he's moving so fast, you can't get a video of Santa. Your cameras and your video machines and everything that they use to film with does not go fast enough to catch Santa. Even though when you're with Santa and you think you're moving at a normal speed, Santa is moving at 100 times the speed. That's why he is able to get to so many places. Well, Smalls had figured out there was an app, and he was watching where they were going to on the Santa tracker, so he could see exactly where they were at when they were in California. They went to Las Vegas. They were to so many places. They were in Arizona delivering packages, and all they were worried about was getting to Utah. But this was the coolest thing in the world to them. They were riding on Santa's sleigh, and Ollie, of course, is always busy looking at stuff. Well, he had gotten into Santa's bag of toys. Well, when he got into the toy bag, it turns into like a magic room full of so many things. And the coolest thing that he saw there were these orange long things and little cars that you could put on these long orange things. And if you put the orange things up high enough, the car would go down it really fast. Well, Ollie decided this was a great place for his tech deck. So he got his skateboard out and he started skateboarding down these tracks. So he would push a car down first and then he would chase it. And he was like, he thought he was like a race car. He would put his wings back and his head down, and he would take off going. Then he'd get to the bottom, he'd jump up, get his tech deck, and go back up to the top. Smalls, of course, is busy trying to get videos of everything. He even went inside and got a video of Ollie doing that. Well, he was able to get Ollie, but he thought he had all kinds of stuff of Santa, and he was going to try to share all that on YouTube. But he couldn't, of course, he wasn't going to ever be able to. So, anyway, they were in Vegas, and they flew over Las Vegas, Nevada, and they saw all these lights and all these places. And Santa told him he had lots of stops to take, and if the boys wanted to, there were some birds down there that had a skate park that would really like to see them, because that was one of their wishes for Christmas, was to get to see Hope, Ollie, and Smalls. And Hope and Ollie and Smalls, they all looked at each other and they said, "You mean somebody wanted us for a present this Christmas?" "Yeah, they wanted to meet you guys." Gerald said, "Yeah, that's great. You guys are fantastic. Everybody loves you. You guys should go down there and just say hi to them and show them what you do and do your thing." Well, how could they refuse Santa Claus? So off they went. They flew down. Sure enough, there was a skate park that was all lit up, and it was late at night. And there were birds everywhere, skateboarding, scootering, and biking. And Hope, Ollie, and Smalls just stood there on one of the ramps until finally somebody said, "Hey, look over there. It's Hope, Ollie, and Smalls. How can this be happening?" And all the birds come flying and running and riding over to them, and they go, "Oh man, this is amazing. This is what we wanted for Christmas, is we wanted you guys to come here and see us. We wanted to meet you. We're your biggest fans. We have the Hope, Ollie, and Smalls fan club out here. This is so great, man. Everybody get on YouTube and everywhere and tell everybody that these guys are here so everybody knows." Well, they did. And before you knew it, there were thousands of birds had come from all over to see Hope, Ollie, and Smalls perform for Christmas. This was their Christmas gift. And they were talking about how great Hope, Ollie, and Smalls were and all the cool things that they did on their world tour. And Hope, Ollie, and Smalls, of course, showed them how to do all their tricks. Somebody let Hope use their bicycle. And, of course, Ollie's on his skateboard and Smalls is on his scooter. But Smalls is really busy taking YouTube videos now because there are so many birds there and the birds are so excited. It is like the loudest skate park you've ever been at. And all the birds were talking about how they saw the HOS skate park and how they wanted to come there and how they tried to figure out how to make their own just after that place. It was so cool. And Hope, Ollie, and Smalls were so impressed that this was going on all over the United States and all over the world. They were the ones who started birds skateboarding, scootering, and biking. Well, anyway, they could hear the jingle bells again. And they looked up in the sky and they saw Santa. And they told all the birds, "Hey guys, we got to go. Santa's up there." And all the birds looked up and they went, "Oh, wow. Amazing." And the boys took off and Santa waited and they flew up there and they got in the sleigh. And Santa said, "Ho, ho, ho. I bet they were very excited to see you guys." And Hope, Ollie, and Smalls goes, "There were over 1,000 birds there coming to see us." And Santa says, "Well, thank you for helping give me one of my gifts to those birds. Those are some really nice birds." Off they flew into the dark. They could see stars flying past. They could see clouds. They could see the moon. Santa's sleigh just kept going and he kept stopping place after place, toy after toy. And finally, Santa gets to a house and he says, "Well, boys, here you are." And they look at Santa and they go, "Here we are where?" "You're in Utah. This is Willard, Utah. This is where you guys wanted to come to, isn't it?" "We're there? We're there? We're there? Oh no, this is the greatest Christmas ever in the whole world." Santa took him right to the little boy's house. And Santa says, "I'm going to sprinkle a little dust on you, and you're going to be able to go through a door if you need to." And so Santa took his little bag out of his pocket, and he sprinkled a tiny bit of dust on each one of them. And Gerald come over, and Hope, Ollie, and Smalls went up to him and actually let Gerald pet them on the head a few times. And Gerald told him that they were really, really great Christmas birds. And he hoped that they had the best Christmas there. And they got off the sleigh. The sleigh took off, but not till after Santa did the same thing there that he had done everywhere else. He went in the bag and he got out toys and presents, and they knew that was going to the little boy. Santa wasn't kidding about the dust he sprinkled on him. They were able to pass right through the front door. And they walked right in the house, and there was a tree in the corner, and there were a lot of presents underneath it. In fact, there were so many presents underneath that tree. Plus, there were all the things that Santa put under the tree, too. They were being ever so quiet. They were so tired because it had been a whole day since they left Hawaii. And they saw the tree as being a nice place to hide. Santa had given them all kinds of their favorite kind of bird foods. And they hopped up in the tree. They put their heads under their wings, and they all fell asleep. All three of them went out like a light. They were so tired. And they were all three dreaming about their trip, the world tour. They were all dreaming about being with the little boy. And there they were in the tree in the little boy's house. Well, in the morning, they could hear dogs walking around and people getting up. And they woke up and they looked and they said, "We better hide in a tree here." And they did. They got back inside the tree really far. Well, sure enough, out come the little boy. They hadn't seen him for so long. They were so excited to see him that they all three just started shaking and trembling. They were so excited. And Hope goes, "Ollie, look, there he is. That's him. That's that boy. Look how big he is, man. He's getting bigger too." Smalls has got his camera out, and he's like, "I got to try to get a picture of him, man. I got to try to get a picture so we can keep it, you know?" The boy went over, and out come his mom and his friends, and they started to unwrap presents. Well, Hope, Ollie, and Smalls had never seen that many presents before. And they were so excited just to be up there and see the little boy. Well, Hope kind of crawled out on a branch a little bit further so he could get a better look. And he looked down, and all of a sudden the little boy looked up, and the little boy saw something moving inside the tree. And the little boy goes, "Wait a minute. Can it be? Is it true?" And he stood up and he grabbed the branches of the tree and he pulled them apart and he looked inside and he saw all three of his birds sitting in there in the tree looking at him. And he goes, "Oh, Polly and Smalls, oh my gosh, this is so great." I got to tell you what, those three birds and that little boy couldn't have been more excited to have seen one another. They had the best day ever, Christmas-wise. The boy got to show them all their cool stuff that he'd gotten for Christmas. And the birds just had to be able to sit because people can't understand what the birds say. And even if you try to find their YouTube videos, you really can't find them. Because there's a little bit of magic in those guys too, you know. So they stayed there for several days. And then something else happened. While they were there, the man that lives in the house in Ohio came there and picked up the little boy. Well, they knew they had to hide from him because he thought they were back in Ohio. And they did. And they hid in the trunk of the car and they went to a couple places. But then one part of the day, they went to a place that was a skate park. And the birds got out and went inside and they sat and they watched the boy's scooter. And they thought how cool it was seeing him scootering around. That they got out their scooters and stuff. And there were some other birds there hiding too. And they gave a Hope a bike. And they all rode in the skate park. And when they got done, they went back to a place, and the birds kind of found the little boy, and they kind of let him know by just sort of waving a little bit at him that they had to go. And it was time for Hope, Ollie, and Smalls to get back to Ohio. So the little boy kind of winked because he knew they were there, and the birds all waved at him, and down the hallway they went. And the boy stayed and got to play with the man, and the birds went out, and the next part of their adventure is going to begin really soon. Merry Christmas. Good night.